We are the Hornets. Mighty, mighty Hornets. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them. We are the Hornets. Mighty, mighty Hornets. Thank you. Good night.
Coach Rodney, I promise you this. This Alumni Association is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that school, the school I love, is going to have a school. I promise you. We got you.
Well, good afternoon. 70 plus years, we finally got here. So give yourselves a hand. All right. We started before the meal by speaking about a great man who once said, there's a time and place for everything. And today is that time and place to recognize, again, great contributions by players, coaches, and others that help make our school, our program, and community great. So I want to thank all of you again for attending. And I want to make sure, if any of you don't know me, my name is Carlos Perlman. I am the founder and president of the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association. Thank you. That means a lot. I signed a lot of contracts to make this happen, so thank you. I really want to say that today, again, we celebrate those who made the program, school, and community great. And remember this, while this list is not perfect, okay, this list of inductees today is excellent. And I'm telling you right now, for the men and women who are sitting in this room, you can be sure that every man that is on this list today is part of an unbeatable team. If they had all played together at one time, you would have just stacked up state championships. So feel pretty confident that you are sitting in football paradise right now. Today's ceremony is about more than men who play to coach the game. It's about a program that motivates, encourages, gives back, and models excellence on and off the field for the school and the community. Fairmont Heights football alumni are leaders and make our world a better place. They're great husbands, coaches, mentors, career employees, small business owners, educators, first responders, military veterans, government employees. We've even had Fairmont Heights football alumni guard U.S. presidents, U.S. vice presidents. Thank you, Enoch Rogers and Tim Sampson, rest in peace. We've even had professional football players. And thanks to Mr. Pratt in the math department and Coach Wake in the math department, you even have a bank manager here today. We came in on budget. All right. Thank you to everyone who contributes to the excellence in the lives of their families and communities every day. At this time, I want to introduce you guys to the Hall of Fame board members that put this incredible event together. And when I call their name, I'm going to hand the mic off to them and let them introduce themselves as well and tell you a little bit about their journey along the way. So the first board member I want to thank dearly from the bottom of my heart is Vice President Antoine Tony Law, class of 1982. Mr. Law, what do you got to say for us, sir?
How's everybody doing? It's 1,000 things that I would like to say. 900 of those things he's probably already said it. But this event, first of all, I want to say that I'm really glad that you all were able to come out, all these beautiful people. This is, in memory of a great man. He was our football coach, mentor, and very father-like to us. He taught us a lot of things about discipline and integrity. You know, not so much what you do in front of people, but what you do when nobody's looking. And we thank you, I thank God for him, really I do. There's not many days that goes by in my life that I don't think about the Hornets, the coach, you know, because it's so much a part of my life. When I went into the military, Sergeant asked me what did I think about, you know, this army that I was in and how they were treating us. And I told him, I was a man before I got here. You know, what I learned from my coach and the discipline and the physical fitness, I had all that when I got here. So I'm not getting anything new.
And as a football player, you know that moment. You know when you're in that moment. And right now, I'm in that moment. 35 years I've been waiting on this moment. And this moment is here in front of me. But I want to recognize something. We raised over $30,000 to make sure this event happened. In less than 3 months, 30,000. We made sure this event happened. But with that being said, I want you to think about this moment, right? This place that we have here is a Hornet. She's an alumni of Farimont, right? So this is an awesome place, 30 acres plus acres. We need to have events here. We need to take advantage of, she's a Hornet, right? Tracy. I was ready to call her Williams, but it's Tracy Wallace. Dr. Wallace. Woo. And Dr. Wallace. Both of them. Thank you, Tracy. But look, I don't want to stop there. That's that moment. Our DJ, he's a Hornet. Our DJ's a Hornet. Guess what? This Hall of Fame patch that just got made is a Hornet who made that patch for us. Everything, and Neil Palmer, he's also a pro football player, but he made that patch. So we are in that moment. That moment. Feel this moment, players. Feel that moment. I'm passing on to D-Berry.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dale D-Berry, class of 1981. First off, I want to pay homage to all the 50s and 60s and 70s Hornets that laid the groundwork. Okay? And I want them to know that we have not forgotten them. We just started this thing. We got a lot of homework to do. We got some, hidden gems we got to uncover, and we plan to do that work, okay, without a doubt. My lovely wife, can you bring up that thing we got sitting on the table right there? Because I think this is important. I didn't know when I was going to do this, but I think right now is the best time to do this before we get going. I want to kind of give special recognition, okay, to our president, okay, who basically worked his tail off to pull this off, okay, to pull us all together, okay. So, on behalf of the senior, stand up, y'all didn't stand up, give this man, give him a standing ovation, okay. So, on behalf of the senior board, we want to present you with this memento. I want you to feel the weight and the substance of that, okay? Now, hold to it. Don't drop it now. Don't drop it. No. Let me read it. Let me read it for you. Okay, it says, this is presented to Carlos Pruman. Thank you for your dedication, service to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association on September 25th, 2021. Let's enjoy ourselves today.
Awesome. And last but not least, my name is Eddie Henderson, and hello, Hornet family. First, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for without him, none of this would be possible. I'd also like to thank my mother, Patricia, for her love and support for all these years, my late father, Ed, for his guidance and mentorship, my Aunt Aristine and Aunt Sylvia for always being there, and Aristine for making those sandwiches after lunch and after school. All my family, friends, and my beautiful wife, Rachel, for putting the cherry on top of my blessed life. What a magnificent and momentous occasion to be able to stand before you today in honor of brotherhood. In my humble opinion, my Farimont football brothers are all overachievers. As student athletes, we all manage responsibilities for obtaining an education while also continuing to dream of playing championship football. Some of us manage these responsibilities better than others, but not all of us. We didn't always understand the importance of education and excelling academically. But we had a leader who did. And he also expected nothing short of greatness from us on the field. And he always asked for us to put forth our best effort in the classroom. Coach Ralph Payton never accepted mediocrity and didn't want you around his program if you did. So whether we wanted to or not, we were destined to be successful. Not just in football, but in life. Coaches like Coach Sharpless, Coach Skip, Coach Boone, Coach Wade, Coach Pipelo, all epitomized greatness in my eyes. They were winners, and their confidence was infectious. We were all blessed with the ability to witness greatness each day as we went out and about our high school days with the never-ending thought of being champions. It was always about championships for us. We were expected to walk like champions, talk like champions, but most importantly, to work like champions. We all understood that championships come to those who outwork their opponents. So we all understood that when we ran sprints and hills in every practice, that we were doing so in order to outwork our opponents and win a state championship. That was the price of greatness. As a sophomore during the 1983 season, I played JV football, but traveled with varsity when I was asked to do so. That varsity team, many of them here today, reached the school's first Maryland State Championship game that year. While we fell short of that state championship, a fire was lit that led us to success in the 84 season and an undefeated season against PG County opponents, falling just short, one game short of the state championship in 1985. It would be a couple years later before the Hornets returned to the state championship and suffer yet another heartbreaking loss. But despite those disappointments, I can tell you that my teammates and I were blessed with the ever so precious skill of believing in ourselves no matter what. And that was a huge part due to our excellent coaching staff and our high school football experience. There was an enormous amount of negativity surrounding us in those days. Some of us were thought to be, not to be here. We didn't think we'd be here or make it to our 21st birthday. I mean, due to the chaos in the streets, seeing so many of our brothers fall to street violence during the 80s and the 90s. I'm proudly standing here on the shoulders of our brothers, our lost brothers, our ancestors, our brothers who are not here to proclaim that we made it. So now we have to pay it forward. Now we need to support the kids of today with optimism, encouragement. Now we need to watch our young Hornet brothers as they carry out a legacy of greatness, as they pursue a state championship. I've known Coach Rodney since his family moved across the street back in Landover Hills, back in the junior high and elementary days, so I know how important it is to him. And I know he won't rest until they're all champions. Thank you all for coming to share this wonderful moment in Fairmont Heights history. Please enjoy the festivities, and may God bless you all.
Wow. I just want to say thank you to everyone. These men who stand before you as senior board members have helped produce everything you see today, and we've all worked together as a team the way we were taught by our coaches to execute. Executing is not an option. So we did execute, we will continue to execute. And at this time, there are additional board members who helped us greatly along the way as well. At this time, I'm going to ask for either the board member or the board member's family to stand and receive recognition for also contributing to this process that was very tenuous. And I want to start with one board member who cannot be here today because he's doing Hall of Fame work on the sidelines for a Little League football team. I want to recommend that we all stand for a current Fairmont Heights football coach and a current Hall of Famer who will be inducted today, who's unable to be with us, who's doing, again, great work in the community on the sidelines for his son and his son's team today. Can everyone please stand for Greg Bailey? Guys, thank you. This is what it's about. Coach Payton wanted us to be, and all the coaches wanted us to give back off the field as much as we give on the field. So I want to thank Greg Bailey and his family for coming today for him. And he is class of 05. He's listed twice in our program as a board member and as an inductee, but he is class of 05. And I still can't believe his final game as a Hornet. He put up 5 touchdowns and over 350 yards on the field for the school. So that one's going to stay around for a while. Additional board members who, again, assisted with the Hall of Fame voting process. And in case you guys didn't know, I just want to throw it out there. No player can nominate themselves. In order to be great, someone else had to nominate them, okay? And then I did my best to assemble the greatest players based on who the coaches told us were great during my 4 years and 40-plus football years, 40-plus games at Fairmont Heights. Well, I heard about Tony Law a lot. I heard about the Queen brothers a lot. I played with Sean Bay and Coach Henry Frazier and a lot of other great players, Earl Greenlee and Avon Barber, and the list goes on and on. I went and tried to contact every single one of them to see Walt Jeter and, you know, the list goes on and on. But they're here today. And I'm going to start with, please, Avon Barber, could you stand for recognition as a board member, please? Thank you. Mr. Ron Carter. Mr. Ron Carter. All right, Mr. Ron Carter. Thank you, sir. Mr. Gary Freeman. There you go. Mr. Tim DeDurgis. Mr. Tim DeDurgis. Here you go. Mr. Earl Greenlee. Should I say Navarro or Bo Hilly? Bo! All right. He made 32 continue to be a great number. Come on, Mr. Dwight Hines. And I love anybody who wears number 55. Where's Walt Jeter at? All right. And this man right now is changing lives in the communities in West Virginia. Come on, Andre Nazario Wingate. Where you at, brother? All right, and we mentioned earlier that the gentleman, one of the greatest players in team history, who designed the Hall of Fame patch, unfortunately is unable to be here because he's out doing Hall of Fame work as well. He's a coach. But Mr. Emil Palmer. Give it up to Mr. Emil Palmer. Well, this gentleman, really all you have to say is 83 yards on the last play of the game to beat Forestville in 1985. Clifton Sean Bay Phillips. All right, and I can honestly say between 1983 and 1986 on the football field, if you didn't run a play right, you were reminded the Queen brothers would have ran it right. James and Jared Queen, please stand for us. number 32 grade. Come on, Calvin K.K. Thompson. All right. And, you know, you can't have a legitimate Hall of Fame process if you don't have the current coach. Mr. Rodney Williams, please stand for us. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Also, again, I want to thank the owners of this facility, Dr. You know her as Tracy Williams, but Dr. Tracy Williams Wallace, and her husband, Dr. Vaughn Wallace, for allowing us to use this wonderful facility here at Hennessy Creek. We're trying to keep as much in the Hornet family as possible. So again, let's give a hand to the Wallace family. Thank you. All right. At this point, I want to make sure you guys are aware. I want everyone to enjoy themselves, but stay safe. We have the following protocols in place. Obviously, you had the temperature check when you came into the building. We have hand sanitizer in several places throughout the building. We are asking you to wear required face coverings when not at your table or speaking. We're asking you to do more fist pumps and elbows, but I know there's a lot of love in the building, so if you do hug somebody, please use your hand sanitizer afterwards, all right? All right, at this point, before we proceed, I just want to tell you a small story that happened as we were going through this process. And let's start with Coach Payton. During my junior year, Coach Payton said to our team in practice, how does it feel to be 16 years old and be able to play the greatest game in the world? I mean, that statement still fires me up. Based on Coach's words of wisdom, I'm going to do something I probably shouldn't do. So all the wives and mothers and parents who are in the building, please don't be mad at me. But as president, I'm going to use my power a little bit. I proclaim that every former player in this building is 16 years old again for the next 3 or 4 hours. Every coach in the building and every greatest counselor over there is also 36 years old for the next 3 to 4 hours. All right. So just remember this now, okay? Y'all still have families to go back to. So you know, don't break any ankles. Don't throw your back out. But I want you guys to enjoy youth for the next 4 hours. Okay. So keep that in mind. And with that being said, myself and Tony Law, we're in the process of looking for the awards that you're about to see presented. We went to a trophy shop in Alexandria, Virginia. On the way back, we drove past T.C. Williams High School, okay? You guys may remember they made a pretty good movie about it 20 years ago, about 20 years ago. Denzel Washington starred in it. And yeah, it's called Remember the Titans, okay? And, you know, I think anyone who knows the complete history of Fairmont Heights High School knows that our story is just as compelling. And I understand, you know, why people chose to remember the Titans. But I'll tell you this, after today, nobody's going to forget the Hornets. Let's get this thing started. With that being said, at this time, I want to go ahead and bring up, we've introduced our board members, we've introduced our senior board members. I want to make sure that we acknowledge, again, the people who have helped make the ceremony and make the ceremony happen today. At this time, I would like to call up a couple of our board members, again, who were part of the process and put in additional time to make this thing work. If I could have one person maybe come over for certificates. As I call your name, please come to the front to receive your acknowledgement for outstanding contribution during the Hall of Fame process for 2021. We couldn't have done it without you, and I want to make sure these men are recognized. All right, the first board member, again, he's doing a lot on and off the field. Andre Nazario Wingate, class of '88. Come on up. Andre. All right, you met this gentleman. You know he does great work on and off the field. He's still an active coach out there today. But come on, Mr. Dale DeBerry, class of 1981. This gentleman, again, doing great work on and off the field, running free football clinics up in New York, giving back to the community, trying to teach leadership and how to be a mentor and how to be a great player coach on and off the field. Come on, Mr. Dwight Hines, class of 02. We're talking about board members. We wanted representation, and we're still working on getting representation from all the eras. But this board member is from the class of 04, and he made sure that we had a voice in graduates for classes after 1990. And he's done a fantastic job. Mr. Ron Carter, come on down. Congratulations. All right. Anybody who's been around Fairmont Heights football for the last 30 years knows this guy. He was a player, he was a coach, and he is frequently seen on the sidelines still supporting the program. And he's a great board member. Mr. Tim Convergence, come on down. All right, we have one more board member we want to recognize, and this gentleman always comes through in a clutch, whether we needed him third and short or fourth and short as a player in the 80s, or whether we need him today to help decide who's going to make our next Hall of Fame class. You got to give it up for the smoothest brother in the house, Kelvin K.K. Thompson. At this time, before we start our inductees, Hall of Fame inductees, I would like to, we have a guest speaker. And I wanted this guest speaker to come and give us some knowledge and representation on the Fairmont Heights football program prior to the Ralph Payton era. I want to make sure we try to be as inclusive as possible of every great generation that played in the 50s, 60s, and 70s as well. For a lot of you, if you're not from Prince George's County or from the state of Maryland, there was a point, I was trying to figure out when I was a kid growing up why all my friends' parents went to Fairmont Heights High School. Then while all my friends' parents, uncles, and aunts went to Fairmont Heights High School. What's going on? Why did everybody go to Fairmont Heights High School? Well, if you lived, I guess, Suitland North. If you lived in central to northern Prince George's County, they had Douglas in the south. If you were African American, you were only going to Fairmont Heights High School until the early 1970s. So that's why we're going to work on the history of our program, the history of our school, and we're going to make sure it gets the recognition it deserves for being a great school and a great community connector. So with that being said, at this time, I would like to present a former quarterback for Fairmont Heights Hornets in the 1960s, played Coach Bob Caswell. He played as a quarterback at Norfolk State University. If anyone knows the NFL history, in 1969, the Los Angeles Rams drafted James Harris as the first black NFL quarterback to be drafted. Well, in 1970, the Rams, I guess they were forward thinking. They said, let's draft another African American quarterback. His name was Harvey Dorsey in 1970. But he'll come tell you the story about how those things worked out and how the world was at that time. And I thought it was a very important aspect of our future to know our past. So at this time, please give Mr. Harvey Dorsey a loud round of applause where the Hornets can do.
It's an honor and a pleasure to be here on such a wonderful occasion. It's been many, many, many years just to take place, and I cannot do but say thank you to this brother right here to my right. Let's give it to him. Let me explain to you how this played out. I'm still working. It'll be 50 years this Tuesday, work for Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, working at Peppermill Community Center. So I was in my office 2 Fridays ago, and I recognized the voice I hadn't heard in a while. And it kept getting closer and closer and closer. Man, that sounds like Kenny Fields. And it was Kenny Fields, to the right. So I said, Kenny, what you doing in town? He said, well, I'm in town for some business. But I'm also in town to be inducted to Farimont Heights High School Football Hall of Fame the next day. I said, well, man, that's fantastic. That's great. How did that play out? You know, because I came out of 66. And said, in 2010, I was given a piece of paper with my name on it, and it said, Farimont Heights Athletic Hall of Fame. And it says, Farimont Heights High School Hall of Fame selections were determined by a joint panel of committees who selected these athletes for Farimont Heights Hall of Fame. This is an unofficial Hall of Fame. So we never had a ceremony. So I ran into Fred Tabron and Derek Wooten today. I raised both of them. So anyway, I said, did y'all know y'all was in another Hall of Fame? No. Derek said, oh, first time. I said, well, you know what? You're in 2 now. So anyway, how that played out, Kenny told me about it. So he said, well, you can find out more about it. Just go on Facebook. Technology. I said, okay, let me go on Facebook. He said, look at this guy's name, Carlos Primer from High Alumni. I said, okay, I'll do that. So I did it. And so when I saw it, I thought it was such a wonderful thing. The first thing I said was, congratulations to all the inductees. This is what the wonderful occasion of Farimont Heights Football Hall of Fame. It was from the 80s on up. So I said, and also thank you for recognizing my coach, Coach Castro. I said, but you know one thing is missing. What happened to the guys from 1950 to 1969? He said, oh yeah, we've been trying to get some history on that, some information on that. Would you mind serving on that committee? I said, sure. So me and him talking back and forth, we just chit-chatting, find out who each other are. Such a nice guy he is, So I said, we just talking. He gave me a little history about myself, and I'll let you know who I am a little bit further. And then he said, hold up. Would you mind being a guest speaker? I said, you don't even know me. He said, can't pay you nothing. But you can come, we'll feed you. I said, can I bring my wife? Bring your lovely wife. This is my lovely wife, Joan Dorsey, right here. So I said, nah, man, I'm on it from all the way through, man. I won't charge for my hikes for nothing, man. This is a beautiful thing. Then he told me about the jackets. I said, this is real. And then he showed me some pictures. I said, this is doubly real. This is big time, So there's a beautiful thing out here in the country. I didn't know if I was going the right place or not. But I finally got here. My wife said, no, they said 7.10 more miles. Turn right. I said, turn right to where? So we finally got it. It's a wonderful place, Mrs. Tracy. And your husband. But let me tell you a little bit about me and my career at Farimont Heights. That's what Carlos told me, 2 guys. Fill you in a little bit. Well, I played baseball for 4 years. Was the only freshman on the baseball team. I played football for 2 years, and my senior season, our previous coach got a job at Maryland Park Middle School as assistant principal. So we didn't have a coach. And you're supposed to have 21 days of practice before you can compete. So 2 weeks before the season, and I was contemplating transferring to Northwestern along with the wide receiver I had on my squad, because he was outstanding, and his father was the guidance counselor. So Coach Cashwell came, and he convinced me to stay, and some of the other guys who was contemplating. Because you got to remember, everybody we was playing at that time, the Supers, the Duvals, Northwesterns, the Bladenbergs, the High Points, you name it, predominantly white school. So our school bused everybody to Farimont Heights. That's just how it was. We went to Farimont Heights when we was in the 7th grade. So it was junior, Farimont Heights junior, senior high school. I was in the class that opened up Bethune Junior High in 62. So we went over there in February, stayed for the 3 months, and then we came back to Farimont Heights in the 9th grade. And at that time, junior highs had football teams, all those type of things, after to keep guys off the street. We also had, once we did get back to Farimont Heights had 4 curriculums: academics, general, cosmetology and all stuff. But the main thing they had was shops. Auto shop, brick shop, metal shop, carpet shop, brick shop, paint shop. Any kind of shop you want to know, we had it. For those who wasn't academically inclined, who wanted to go for the core curriculum and things of that nature, that's how they learned how to earn a living. I hated when they took that program away, because now it gave other folks who was like that, who had that incentive to come to school, to no longer have that incentive. But at Farimont Heights, it's I can feel the love in here. If you're a Hornet, you're always a Hornet, because it's the best high school in Prince George's County. Let's hear it. So Farimont Heights, our careers, we started off shaky, but when Coach Cashwell came there, I could see how organized he was, how structured he was, how disciplined he was, and he didn't take nothing off nobody. I remember as the quarterback calling the play in a huddle, and then all of a sudden he sent the play in. And all my teammates said, "Man, call me on play, call me on play, man. I said, I'm listening to the wrong people. I was listening to him. I came to the sideline, the play was successful. Came to the sideline before I could get across the field. Bang me in the chest. Boom. Do that today. You see how long he would last as a coach. See how times have changed. So anyway, I learned from him, So we was playing, in many cases, we were playing against the opponents. We also was playing against the referees. Because like I said, we was the only black school in Prince George's County, besides Douglas and the Southern part. So anyway, that afforded me the opportunity to win a scholarship to Norfolk State University. And how that played out was remarkable in itself. Because my senior season, we didn't have a winning season. We had a competitive team. I made a play of the week for the Washington Post my last game, but we won that last game. So I didn't know where I was going to go to finish my education. I didn't want to go to Bowie State with my sisters because they didn't have a football team at that time. And I really wanted to continue to play football. So I had a neighborhood coach, the coach of Douglas High, Junior High in D.C.,
I need to just plug it straight. I'll be right back. Anyway. Take him off.
Anyway, I was in class, I guess the 5th period, and whatever class I was in, I was summoned to come to the gymnasium because this guy from my neighborhood told me to write letters to these various different black colleges and just tell them what you did. We didn't have a lot of film. In fact, we had no film. Man, I live in this society, the world today with all that phones y'all got that record everything. We had none of that. So anyway, with all these letters, I got responses from 4 schools: Central State, Ohio, Elizabeth City State in North Carolina, Virginia State, and Petersburg in North State. So the coach they saw me to the gym. So I guess Cash was, I talked a little bit to him about myself. And then he said, the coach said, his name is Coach Archie from North State, said, let me see you throw, a couple of passes. So I was somebody in the gym class, I threw 2 passes. He said, don't throw no more, don't throw no more. Where do you live? I told him where I live. And so I need to come meet your parents and have dinner. I said, I got a scholarship. He never seen me play. But he saw me throw just twice. And he could recognize, as what they used to say back in the day, he threw the ball like the white boys. And Johnny Unitas, I guess, the quarterback for the Rams, for the Baltimore Colts, I watched him as a kid, 10 years old, saw the greatest football game of all time, saw their football game against the Giants. And I watched him, and I liked the way he played. And I just picked up his habits. I wore black high-top shoes like him. Black high-top shoes, think about that. So anyway, we took it from that point. And so now I got a scholarship with North State, and they said there were 6 quarterbacks there. And I said, well, I don't care how many quarterbacks there are, I'm still on the bench. So as Derek knows, I said, I'll be starting because I'm not going to be sitting on no bench, which was true. So the first game, he put me in the 4th quarter. Second game, playing Elizabeth City, we won the game. And we had 2 senior quarterbacks ahead of me. And we won that game 16-6. So the third game, we had a bye week, went home for the first time over the summer. And next thing I know, we was playing North Carolina A&T. And at Grand Street, North Carolina A&T was a powerhouse in the CRAA. And it was led by Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer, Elder Bethel. So my coach told me that morning that I would be starting. I said, okay, I'm ready to roll. And he said, I just love his confidence. I said, well, you gotta have confidence. How you gonna win? You can't be confident what you're doing. You gotta believe in yourself so your teammates can believe in you. So in turn, that's how that went down. And I had the opportunity back in the days, of course, things wasn't integrated. So we was all the, real good black ball players was even going to the CRAA or the SWAC conference. So I played against people like Willie Lanier, Super Bowl champion, Emerson Boozer, Hall of Famer, first black head coach, Art Shell. These guys are from Maryland State, which was called University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. Jeff O'Prue from the Dallas Cowboys. I know y'all don't like that, do you? Yeah. I don't blame you, y'all don't like me. So, to sum up a lot of things in that regard, Coach Farmer became that principal. So Cashwell was the coach that's destined to win. So I knew this, I felt that, and Derek and Fred Tabron had to be on those teams to make that happen. So I think y'all won either 3 or 4 championships in a row. True? See that? I told you it's true. 4 in a row. And see, Derek, it was on JV when I was playing, but I saw his potential because he was very shifty. Step in the hole, get out the hole, and all you see is air. So it was just a great journey to go from high school in that time. Of course, from high school, known at that time really was a basketball school in the 60s. State championships. I can't stand up here without saying anything about Coach Ken Freeman. Y'all know about him? I think also he won 17 state championships. In Fairmont Heights in 1964 was the first time they had the opportunity to go to the University of Maryland to compete in the state championship among all schools in the state of Maryland. Prior to that, the Black College Championship, the state high school championship was at Morgan State University. So we broke a lot of barriers. We had a lot of people. I mean, we just had a camaraderie that is unmatched. It's really, Farimont Heights is really unmatched. There's unity, togetherness, love, respect, kindness. Look out for one another. You can't ask to come from a better school than Farimont Heights High School. So I'm just. So I know we still, I see Mr. President right there, Daphne. That's President Alumni, y'all. Support these programs that she's putting out there. I think we've had scholarship dances, reunion dances, in the 4th week of April, as long as I can remember, except for these last 2 years because of the pandemic and things of that nature. But all that money we earn, we give back to students so they can get scholarships. So it's been a viable, great program. That's the unity of Farimont Heights. In closing, I just want to recognize Farimont Heights great traditional football players from 1950 to 69 who went through blood, sweat, and tears to set the tone, cultural respect, and to be honored officially as this group is today. That's my goal, for those guys to be recognized. And I can't say that about Coach Wake right here. My man, Skip Hutton. Skip East came to my rec center in '71. And then I wound up being a great coach. And I need to recognize Gene Franklin in the back. Stand up, Gene Franklin. Frank, stand up. That's a Farimont Heights basketball champion from 1964. So in closing, I'm sure that era of guys would appreciate something like this. This is just fantastic, I feel.
America looks better with a mask on than anybody else. I'm going to take it off. I'm sorry, this is me. I was the crazy old white guy down Fairmont Heights for 25 years, and I loved it. And the people that we were involved with, Coach Payton and I, we made great friends, co-workers, and a lot of the players that are here now played for us and are friends now. And Mr. Payton and I have been great friends for over 50 years. That's longer than I know my wife. Actually, my wife left brother too. Sorry, brother. I just want to make sure that people know here some other stuff about Mr. Payton, not just about how he was a tough football coach, because he certainly was that, and a great leader, but he was a great man, and he did a lot of other things that I can't tell most of them here, but I'll tell you some of them anyway. He tried to make, and I can see from around here, some great, not only football players, but great people, great men. You guys and the ladies, he worked very hard at sharing and helping with everybody, and that's a credit to him and the community. A lot of people call Coach Payton their father. I don't blame him. He and I, we and the other coaches, we did an awful lot for the kids, from buying things to doing stuff, and I hate to say this, sometimes we went to court. I had to go to court with my girls' basketball team about 10 times. Anyway, the judge kept asking me, "Are you sure they're all your daughters?" I said, "Yeah, it's kind of a story, guys." Anyway, we had a great time, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the history of Fairmont Heights for some of the people that don't know it, as well as about our friendship for 50 years. Students always said, students don't care what they know, but they only want to know if you care. And I'll tell you, Mr. Payton and the other coaches there, from Ronnie Williams to Wake, the Sharpest, to myself, we really cared about the students. Not just being football players, but being people. And a lot of them turned out very successful. And I think this is true of all the teachers at Fairmont. I'll tell you how we got noticed. Ralph Payton hired me in 1970. I came out of Maryland, and I went over to Bethune Junior High, and the principal, Dr. Dyer, some of you may remember him, he said, "Well, we'll let you meet the chairperson, Mr. Payton. If he okays it, then you can be in the department. But I just got out of college. I was a nervous wreck. I got to admit, I said, God, what's he going to ask me all these questions and everything? So he comes over dressed in an old torn-off shirt, and he says, you drink beer? And I said, yes. He says, you're hired. We're still working on that. Don't get me started. When I put up this sign at the new field and stuff there, I thought we were going to be arrested. And then we also have, here's something that all the real men on the Fairmont Heights team will stand up if they know what this is. They might not recognize this now. He would laugh and joke and kid, and he could laugh himself. Both he and I I'll tell you one story here. Now, I've tried different things. My wife, who taught at Medical Farimont, some of you may have known her, we went, well, she said, hey, I think it would be a good idea for us to go whitewater rafting. So, my wife and Ralph and I, we went whitewater rafting on the Yakatini. Well, don't listen to a white woman, I'm telling you. We threw our stuff in the boat. There's 6 inches of water in the bottom of the boat. And I said, hey, this isn't so good, baby. And we went a little bit, about 10 feet, and Linda fell out of the boat. I said, Jesus, that's Jesus. So we grabbed her and said, man, this is like a bathtub. We went another 25 feet, she fell out of the boat again. I said, well, this doesn't look good, baby. I said, yeah, I don't think so. So we went another 25 feet, she fell out of the boat again. Peyton yells out, she's dead, she's drowned. I said, that's all right, baby. And so he grabbed me by my pants, and I went underneath the boat and pulled her up by her hair, and that's how we did our regular rafting. So for so many years at SAT, and what happened at Fort Lincoln in the cemetery and some of you parked in there, and I think we're still going to try to do more for him. But, you know, it's just a tough thing with Peyton along with all this stuff. Peyton knew every one of Martin Luther King's speeches by heart, and he said them at funerals, at weddings, and everything else. He was a very smart man. People sometimes get that old coach. No, he was funny and he was really smart. And, you know, we just did after the whitewater rafting and other things, we kept doing things together, Linda and I, and Mr. Peyton. Oh, I'll tell you a couple of our mind-making schemes. What a disaster they were. Nobody was worse than Peyton and I. He said, and I told him this wouldn't work too, he says, Peyton, he said, look, we don't have any money, we're trying to buy stuff. This guy's selling colored toothbrushes. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're all different colors for $7.95. We should buy these. I said, Peyton, this is a scam. Don't buy that. Even one of the offensive backs said, why would we buy them? The linemen haven't brushed their teeth anyway. And we bought these toothbrushes. I bought one, and Dixie Cleaner was a counselor bought one. That was it. They came in. A week later, we're in the office, and Dr. Power calls us over to PA and says, Peyton, get to the office immediately. We were in trouble when that happened. When we got up there, and there were like 250 big cartons of toothbrushes. Oh, man, they fired this guy, Herb Schmierbaum, or whatever his name was. We had to pay $125 to send the toothbrushes back. And that was bad. Schemes where we've never been to it, maybe some of you have. We went to roller derby. I don't know what roller derby was. Peyton didn't know what it was. And the guy came in and says, I will make a lot of money, there's no problem. This was worse than the riots down in D.C. These people came busted out the windows, the police were there, the dogs were there. Tremendous football program, and had many championships. And it's thanks to the people that are at this thing. I'm sorry, I'm sick here that we're around me over there right now. And in conclusion, you know, I love Peyton, and he's a great guy, and I think a lot of you, he was very firm and tough, but he was fair. So, the last thing I'd like to say is, if you can raise your glass or your Heineken, whatever, to the Fairmont Heights football team and the coach Peyton. Thank you very much.
Anyone in the Hornet family who's no longer with us, just please give a moment of silence, please. Thank you. All right. Let's do it. The first individual inducted into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame will be presented by Mr. Dale DeBerry. Mr. Dale DeBerry, if you would please come to the podium.
Okay, everybody's attention, please. Ralph C. Payton, 1967 University of Maryland Eastern Shore graduate. After graduation, Payton went on to distinguish himself as a teacher and a coach in Prince George's County. Initially at Bethune Junior High School, then at Fairmont Heights High School. Coach Payton was revered in Prince George's County, held in high regard by everyone, widely admired as a father figure by those whose lives he touched over 3 decades as a coach in Prince George's County and an educator. Fairmont Heights High School Stadium, where Payton patrolled the sidelines for 30 years, was rededicated in his honor in 2018. Coach Payton won 177 games, many accomplished by rosters with fewer than 30 players. He used to always say, "You do it with mirrors." That achievement is recognized by the Maryland High School Foundation and ranks as one of the top coaching achievements in the state of Maryland. Coach Payton said, "The kids I had all those years, they played hard." He said he had guards who only weighed 165 pounds. I don't think they weigh 165 today. Winning 62% of his games earned Coach Payton induction into the Maryland State Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2003. Coach Wade described Coach Payton as a better person than a coach, and he thought he was a very good coach. We never thought about how many games we'd win or how many losses we had, Wade said. We worried about taking care of our kids that day, that time. If a kid or a team had a problem, we as coaches had a problem. It is befitting on this momentous day that our first inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Hall of Fame is our beloved coach, Ralph C. Payton. Accepting the award on behalf of the Payton family is Ms. Shirley. Mrs. Payton's niece. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Our first inductee to the Hall of Fame, Ralph C. Payton.
Thank you all so very, I'm not much of a speaker, not like my uncle. But I'm his oldest and best favorite niece. And I just want to let you all know that this has been a very heartful time for my family. And he loved you all so much, so much. He used to talk about you all when I was growing up, and I just knew, it seemed like I know all of you to a certain extent. And I'm so sorry. But I tell you, this is the hardest thing I ever had to go through. When I was a little girl, I never thought that I would have to speak at his funeral, his son and his wife's in 3 months. But God is good. And I tell you, he has a coach up there that's telling everybody what they need to do. But you all, thank you all so much for this honor. And I know Uncle Ralph is looking down, I call him Uncle Ralph, is looking down and smiling and saying, well, I didn't know I meant that much to everybody, but I guess I did. But again, thank you from the Payton family. And he just loved you all so very much. And if he was here right now, he would be smiling down on me. And I'm fighting cancer, and my numbers are still the same. In another 3 months, I would have beaten it. and I didn't think that things were looking so good. Just to hear his voice and knowing that things were going to be all right. So again, you all, thank you ever so much from the Payne family, and God bless, and again, thank you so much.
All right, you guys enjoying the ceremony so far? All right. The next inductee into Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame will be presented by, if I can have his former players, Fred Taperon, Derek Wood, Michael Wood, and Harvey Dorsey. Please come forward to present Coach Bob Cashwell induction into the Hall of Fame. Thank you to gentlemen who have came and assisted with the Hall of Fame process. It looks like no matter what generation you played for the Hornets, we're all still Hornets, so thank you.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Michael Woolton. I graduated class of 1971, my 50-year class reunion. And Dorsey, I want to piggyback on something Dorsey said. You got to remember, this is in 1966. If you didn't get a scholarship, and mindfulness, you couldn't get no scholarship to like Alabama and Tennessee. What happened was, Alabama coach, Bear Bryant, this is a true story. He went to Ohio, Buddy Hayes, to the football team and got his butt kicked. He came back to see the governor, George Wallace, and said, we need black players. We need some black players on our team. So what I'm saying is, sports and football helped integrated America. They really did that. And also with Coach Caswell, back in 1966, you had to realize, once again, if you didn't go to college, you know where he was going? He was going to Vietnam. He was going straight to Vietnam. Because the opportunity wasn't there. So, let me say something. Let me suggest that any football player, average football player, who died in Vietnam, he wasn't all county. He wasn't all the state. He was all American. And then we might do a tribute to the guys who died in Vietnam. Okay, come on. That's all I'm doing.
You know, Coach Cashwell, he was a very disciplined coach, and he's still disciplining us. And like you said, we was down in the 60s, from 66 to 70. I was a freshman, Harvey Dorsey, was a senior, and I looked up to Harvey Dorsey and everybody. And during that time, Coach Cashwell won 4 consecutive county championships. 4 consecutive. And Fairmont Heights during that time was one of the only all-black high school in the county. And during that time, I knew this was a football thing, but we also won state championship in basketball. 4 straight years. Fred Taperon was on the championship basketball team. And we also won 4 straight years state championship in track. 4 straight years in track. 4 state championships. And Fred Taperon was all right.
I've already said my piece.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big honor to be here at this historical evening. It's been 50 plus years since I wore the maroon and gray, but I still wear the pride of the Hornets in my heart today. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. The next inductee into the Football Hall of Fame will be presented by Tony Law. That inductee is Mr. Purcell Johnson. Mr. Purcell Johnson was in class of 1980. And Tony Law will accept his award on his honor. Tony, do you have anything you'd like to say about Mr. Purcell Jones?
This guy here, I followed behind him. He was an amazing talent. Rest in peace, brother.
Well said, thank you. All right, as we keep it going here, want to make sure we can have Mr. Avon Barber come up, please. And to present to one of my former teammates for 3 years, and if the family is here, I'm going to ask you to come up as well. People present Mr. Brian Benjamin.
This presentation is to my teammate. Ben played right tackle. We knew him as Big Ben. Ben was a gentle giant, and Ben was one of those that was real quiet. And basically, sometimes in the huddle, I would nudge him, or to get him riled up, I would say, "I see Renee over there." And Ben would always say, "Guys, don't talk about my sister. Don't mess with my sister." So it was something to get him motivated. And Ben would always get riled up. And then he'd get to the line of scrimmage and say, "Hey, what's the count?" Well, I did my little fingers on the ground and dirt. And he said, I got it. But I just want to say, this brother right here, we went a long way, on and off the field. Ben was a great dude, great friend. And everybody in here that knew Ben knew his heart. But just like it did. Just like it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ed Henderson will be presenting the next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Hall of Fame. It is for Mr. Sean Early. Give it up.
Come on up, Jeff. Accepting this award on Sean's behalf is his first cousin, Mr. Gibb. Brian Gibson, but we call him Gibb. So Sean was a comedian, was one of the funniest guys you would ever meet. But when it came to playing football, when you needed a dog on the offensive line or the D-line, Sean brought that dog for every game and went on to Virginia State to do the same thing. I believe they won the CIAA his freshman year. He started at right guard and left guard. But most importantly, Sean was my brother. We spent a lot of time together. He left this earth sooner than he should, but the man upstairs has the plan. But I'm so grateful and happy to see Sean get this award. Congratulations to the Earl family.
Holding an event like this is new, it's odd. I mean, I haven't seen our community hold events like this, so it's just, I guess it's a historical moment. And thank you for all the organizers who put this together. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to have The next player inducted in to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Hall of Fame is Jeff to the left, Turner, presented by Ann Henderson.
Roy, can you come join us? So, Roy Franklin is Jeff's stepdad, but he's just dad. And it was a good man to Jeff, a good man to us coming up. Roy always showed love to all of us, and we really appreciate Roy for that. Jeff shared his family with us, and Jeff was probably the fastest running back I've ever seen running football. This guy played varsity football his freshman year, which was unheard of at Fairmont Heights back in those days. So that tells you something about the effect and the impact he had on football teams. So Jeff, we miss you. Love you. I know your mom, Margie, wishes she was here. She sent her love to everyone, all the coaches, and congratulations to the Turner family, Franklin family.
I don't know if I can keep it together. Jeff, my heart. This world's world. All I can say is the class of 88 is remember Jeff Silver. And I want to thank everyone that had this something to do with this honor. I'm quite sure people learn. He's smiling and thank you with himself. So again, thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. At this time, the next group of inductees, please prepare for induction into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame. They are our Hall of Fame coaches. Can I have someone ready for the jacket? Can I have someone ready for the certificate? I will be calling the first coach inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Hall of Fame, Mr. Stan Boone. Come on down.
Okay, Coach kind of stole my thunder because, and Carlos kind of stole my thunder because actually it was me who was supposed to induct all the coaches. And Stan Boone, I really wanted to do him because he was my position coach. You know what I mean? So congratulations, Coach Stan. All right, so as many of you know or don't know, I've been coaching for 30 some odd years to date, still active. And I learned from a bunch of guys that are lifers, okay? And so Coach Payton had a great staff. So behind every great coach is a supportive and loyal staff. Individually talented, unassuming in their respective areas of responsibilities, having the courage to challenge the head coach respectively, in the attempt to achieve the best outcome. In other words, not just being yes men to the head man, but to support him, but never forgetting who's in charge. This was certainly the case with Coach Payton's staff. So again, Stan Boone, congratulations to you. I just want to tell a small story. Again, since I've been coaching so long, I played for this staff, okay, and my whole coaching career, I've known the staff. And so as I used to come back to football games, I was, as I became of age, I was invited to go to the Italian Inn with them after the games. And so I'm not going to tell all the things that went on there, but I will tell you that I garnered a lot of information that makes me a good coach today. Now, one of the things that would always happen towards the end of the session, it was always time to ante up to pay the bill. Skip would always throw $2. Skip $2. Not all the time, but every now and then. That's the one thing I didn't remember as a youngster as I sat around, and so I'm sorry, Skip. But all in all, this next inductee, and I'm not lying, that's why you're clapping. Okay, so if you played for Coach Skip, you were part of a group that was unique to the football team. Because you played, I remember when I first met Skip back in 1978, when Coach Payton introduced him. He was fresh out of Howard University. No neck, big, strong. He looked like a lineman. And he was the meanest son of a biscuit that you ever would want to come together. He meant business, but he loved his linemen on the O line and the D line. So this next inductee, Talbert Skip Hunt, Howard University, Bison. Skip. Skip. You would be the main one telling Coach Payton, get him on that hill, Ralph. We can cut the car lights on. Yes, sir. Congratulations, Coach. Get that stand. You want to say something?
God is good. All the time. I have a little experience with the way back when they call them now the old school. I remember Ruby and Tabron. They called Ruby. Tabron was a beast. And I remember some of those guys. I remember those guys. Well, Bobby Dorsey, he was a little older than we were. He was older than we were. In fact, Harvey used to help us cross the street and go to school. But I'm saying that to say this, how those guys back then started and were successful and had the pride for new guys to continue nowadays. And back then, just like these guys say about all the championships that they won, it's absolutely true. And then people used to say, well, who are they? Where are they from? And family would say, we are the Hornets. The mighty, mighty Hornets. And that pride and that success bred and increased through the years up until the time in the 80s, 70s, and 80s where we were so proud of ourselves. We had so much success that before the game started, we would tell them who we were so they wouldn't ask. And for you guys that remember this, my crew, we are the Hornets. Come Come on, Hornets. We are the Hornets. Here we come. Here we stand. Do or die is our battle cry. We will win. They will die. Stand. Thank y'all very much.
All right, this next coach, this next inductee, my wife and I were items in high school. He used to tease me all the time and say, "You gonna get on the bus and take Miss Christmas to the movies?" Coach Sharp has added also, new meaning to the biker shorts. He had the best looking biker shorts. The secondary coach, linebackers and defensive backs, the fearless Sharpless, Dave Sharpless, coming up and being inducted into the Hall of Fame. One of the best to ever do it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hall of Famers.
Well, thank you. I really feel uncomfortable about saying something because I usually don't speak unless it's halftime in the locker room. So I'm going to keep it simple. Thank you.
All right. The last coach will be one inducted to the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about him a little later in another segment, but I will tell you this. One of the smartest individuals that I ever encountered. Coach George Wink.
Math major running around trying to learn something because I played basketball with Bobby Darin and Chuck Bonaparte, and they taught me, get a degree, you're not good enough. That told me also when I got to Fairmont Heights to make sure you make everybody understand it's never about the ball. The air leaves the ball. It's about life. Riding up down the road with Ralph Payton, we talk about winning, talk about losing, but we always talk about building men and give back. Thank you.
Okay, that is your coaching staff inductees. Give them one more round of applause. Thank you. All right, guys. The next group inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame are team members, Hall of Famers that are unfortunately unable to be with us today. And then they're unable to be with us due to many reasons, but most of them are Hall of Fame reasons. Taking care of their family, taking care of someone who's ill, being on the sidelines of a Little League football game, mentoring the next generation of Hornets, and just doing great work in the community. So please, I'm going to say these names, and at the end, please give them a round of applause. Greg Bailey, class of 2005. Antonio
Antonio Tony Foster, class of 1987. Johnny Fox, class of 1985. Henry Frazier III, class of 1986. Ken Lewis, class of 1984. Emil Palmer, class of 1991. Nathaniel Queen, class of 2003. Chris Richardson, class of 1984. Ronald Stroud, class of 1985. And Darnell Butch Wilson, class of 1988. Give a round of applause. All right. It is time for the players who are present. The first player inducted who's present. This gentleman waited 50 years to be inducted. We ain't gonna make him wait anymore. Mr. Fred Tabron, come on down. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. The second player inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame also waited 50 years. Class of 1970s own Derek Woo! Class of 1981, Hubie Farrell. Come on in. The fourth player inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, class of 1982, Kenny Fields. Come on down. All right, the fifth player present, inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame. You know Miss Woody, Eric Woodland, class of 1984. All right. The sixth player inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, Nathaniel Pearson Sr., class of 1985. Come on, man. Inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame. You know Miss Shambe, Clifton Phillips. Come on, man. The next player inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association is not present because, again, he's out doing great Hall of Fame work in the community. But his family is. Please give a warm welcome for the family of Greg Bailey, class of 2005. Come on down. Greg has his jacket at home. He made sure he got it early. The next player inducted to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, Stephon Ganser, class of 1986. The next inductee will complete the first category of quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. Coach Payton and a lot of the coaching staff in the 80s spoke a lot about this gentleman. Every time we didn't run a play right, they said Tony Law would have run it right. I heard his name so much, I started to get mad on the sidelines and say, who is this guy? He's some type of legend or something? Yes, he is the correct answer. And I'm proud to call him a friend. I want to induct this legend into the Hall of Fame. And the next and final inductee of the running back, wide receiver, quarterback class into the 2021 Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame is Antoine Tony Law coming out. All right, that concludes the first category of quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. The next category will make Coach Sharples proud. Linebackers and defensive backs. The first
from this category to get inducted, Class 84. He did many great things on the football field, including playing in the school's first state championship. Class 84 graduate Gary Freeman, come on down. The next inductee to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame wears one of my favorite numbers. Number 55, from the class of 84, Walter Jeter. The next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame also was a three-sport athlete, played in school's first state championship, class of 1984 graduate, Lewis Huckleberry Robinson. The next inductee also played in the school's first state championship. Class of 1984 graduate, Mike Robinson. Come on down. The next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame played on a championship team in 1984, played in the state playoffs in 1985. All three of his varsity football teams are ranked in the Washington Post Top 20. He wore number 50. Lee Boston, come on down. The next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, class of 1987, also played in the 84 championship team, 85 state playoffs, all three teams ranked in the Washington Post Top 20. You know him, number 40, Earl Greenlee. Come on down. The next inductee to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, class of 1988, played in the school's second state championship, had 13 interceptions in 13 games his senior year. Corey Williams, come on down. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Got one name, the man I'm talking about was Leslie Shepard. Held up to one catch for 5 yards on us towards the state championship.
I'm back. This young man played defensive back for me. I forgot what year it was. It's been a long time. But at that time, when we played Forestville, Forestville has a guy named Leslie Shepard. Hopefully y'all don't know him. But he went on to play professional football. But this young man shut him down for 3 years straight. He never caught a ball in Fairmont Heights in this time.
All right, the next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame has been an outstanding player and an outstanding coach. He's also on the Hall of Fame board himself. Give it up. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Coach Rodney Williams. The next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, class of '03, he made a lot of coaches happy because nobody has catched the pass on him. John Johnson, come on down, welcome to the Hall of Fame! The final individual player in the linebackers defensive backs group, former outstanding player, 84 champion, 85 state semifinalist. Every team he played on was ranked in the Washington Post top 20. And when the game was on the line in the 84 championship, he became Fast Eddie and took it about 80 yards to win the championship. Please help me welcome Ed Henderson to the Hall of Fame. All right, this category will make Skip proud and Coach Wade proud. Offensive line, defensive line. The next inductee to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association, class of 1980, Paul Sullivan. Come on down, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Also, this is a family affair. The next inductee is Paul's brother, Gary Sullivan, who's unfortunately unable to be here, but Paul will accept Gary Sullivan award for him. Gary was class of 1982. So, Paul will hold you 2 certificates. Congratulations. The next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, class of 1982. James Tweed, welcome to the Hall of Fame. The next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame. Can't have one queen without the other. Class of 1983, Jared Queen, welcome to the Hall of Fame. All right, the next inductee to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, class of 1985, played in the school's first championship in '83, '84 champion, Rod Green, class of 1985. Come on down. All right, the next inductee into the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame. Played football for Fairmont Heights for 4 years. 84 champion, 85 state playoffs. All 3 of his varsity teams ranked in the top 20. This guy played guard and defensive end. And I still think he never got enough credit. But today we're going to right that wrong. Avon Barber, welcome to the Hall of Fame. The next inductee to the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame. Can't say enough about this guy. Four-year football player, played the school's second state championship. All conference, all county, and he knew how to play defensive end. Tim Hall, class of '88, come on down.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
All right, the next player, outstanding player. He could have been inducted with the linebackers or the offensive line, defensive line. Played in the school's second state championship in 1987. Four-year football player, 85 state playoffs, 87 conference champion, outstanding guard and linebacker. You know who he is. Navarro Bo Hillian, come on down, welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Again, good evening, everyone. Last one for today. I'm good, man. Friday morning. I want to introduce our great president of this new association. He's become a good friend of mine. He's a man of character, really great guy. Hard worker. Let me tell you, this guy was working literally 3 o'clock in the morning. I got one thing to say to you though, Carlos. Now, don't text me at 3 o'clock in the morning anymore. So, and let me just say, he's a very selfless guy. He didn't even, when we were trying to do the selections and stuff, I said, Carlos, did you do anything? He said, yeah, I got some stuff. I said, don't post it. He said, man, it's about the team. It's about everybody else. But this guy has so many accomplishments, all county, all men, all everything, man. He's a wonderful athlete, great family man. Carlos, I'm very proud to have you inducted into the 2021 Hall of Fame. Congratulations, sir.
Can we get on 86, 87, let's come back down, take this picture with those. We had a great run for our 4 years.
All right.
Hey guys, we have one honorary inductee to the Hall of Fame. One honorary inductee to the Hall of Fame. Coach Payton cannot be in the Hall of Fame unless his favorite player or favorite team member is in the Hall of Fame. This team member would never late for practice. This team member never missed practice. This team member never let us down the fourth quarter. This team member lives in us all. The 50th and only honorary member to the 2021 Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association Hall of Fame, The Hill. Is not a Hall of Fame award. It's an award that Coach Payton would feel is probably the most important award of the night. This is the award that talks about excellence off the field as well as on the field. This award is called the Ralph C. Payton Man of the Year Award. Okay? Very similar to the Walter Payton Man of the Award in the NFL. This is for outstanding community service. This is for outstanding contributions to the game of football, to families, communities, and everything that makes the world a better place. We have several nominees this year. I want to thank the following people who have contributed outstanding community service. We will have an award presented to one, but I want to mention the people
people who were also nominated because they did an excellent job as well. Mr. Hubie Farrell, thank you for your community service, sir, over 30 years of mentoring young men, women, coaching, boys club, high school. Thank you, sir. Excellent. Mr. Dante Hunter, thank you for coaching the Fairmont Gators. If he's here, if he's not here, 14 under team and helping the kids in the current Fairmont Heights program get ready for college and applications, etc. Want to thank Andre Rosario Wingate for basically transforming this town of West Virginia through sports with several sporting programs. He's a coach, he's a mentor, he's a father figure. He is actually doing several wonderful things out there. I want to thank you for your contribution to this program and to your community. Thank you, sir. I want to thank Mr. Dwight Hines for contributing to his community as a coach, as a mentor, running a football program up in New York where he does not charge people to participate, so they too can have an opportunity to learn about responsibility and greatness on and off the field. Thank you very much. I want to thank Dale Dewberry for being a coach for over 30 years in the state of Maryland, in several schools, currently at the Matthew Catholic High School, and also for him and his wife with the foundation they run to help children and help the community be a better place. They've done outstanding work as well. With that being said, those were our nominees for Ralph C. Payton Man of the Year Award. And at this time, we're going to present that award to one of those outstanding people. They're all outstanding. There are no losers in this category because they have all made the world a better place. But this time, based on the voting by the Hall of Fame Board, this year, the inaugural Ralph C. Payton Man of the Year Award goes to Dale Dewberry, class of 1981.
Hey, I want to thank everybody who voted for me for this award. Again, at the end of the day, service to others is the rent that we pay to be here on earth. I believe that. I graduated in 1981 from Farimont Heights. I currently work at FINRA as a benefit specialist, handling the retirement benefit programs. As mentioned, I coach football at the Matthew Catholic High School. I also coach basketball at Dr. Henry J. Wise High School, and I'm the co-founder and vice president of the Eusebio Mobile Employee Foster Support Program for foster and disadvantaged youth. My 3 years at Fairmont Heights High School laid the foundation for who I am today. There were 3 influential people that made a significant impact. Richard Rubino, who was my biology teacher. We were good friends up until he passed last year. He introduced me to Bernard Forsetter, a business owner in Bethesda when I was a young man, who taught me how to do retirement plan administration, and I'm in that field today. So my wife, who I'm married to, is an attorney. She taught me what is called the but-for clause. So but for Richard Rubino, okay, I wouldn't be where I am today in my professional career. Then there's Coach George Wink, a great math teacher, a great basketball coach. I played basketball for Coach Wink for 10 to 12, and I coached on his staff for 10 to 12 years. Coach Wink actually allowed me to be the head coach 1 year, okay, and he sat down. Coach Wink taught me how to change the oil in my car when I was a young man. Taught me how to change brakes and brake pads. And every time that we moved from place to place, my wife of over 36 years, Coach Wink helped orchestrate the move. So but for Coach Wink, I wouldn't be coaching basketball today. And then there was Coach Payton. Like many of you, I met Coach Payton on August 15th in 1978 as a bright-eyed 15-year-old boy. 44 years That's how long that relationship lasted. The discipline, work ethic that Coach Payton instilled in me helped me become a man. It's hard, but it's fair, is what he used to say. Intestinal fortitude, perseverance. Those are the things he would say to us. I remember, as I got into my sophomore and junior years, and I used to come back out for football, and I played a little bit of basketball too, not just an average player, but I'm a great coach. But understand this, there were high school guys that came out for football that I played basketball with that only lasted in the morning session. I would look in the back of the line for the afternoon session. I didn't see Earl McPherson. I didn't see Ken Harvey. They only lasted. So us football guys had a special gift to go through those hot days in August, those double sessions in the heat with all the equipment. And finally, I coached at KLM Boys and Girls Club for 10 years. I won 95% of my games. I won a county championship every year. I made it to 6 Super Bowls and I won 4 of them. Okay? And I'm a lifer, like I said earlier. But for Coach Payton, but for Coach Wake, but for Richard Rubino, there would be no Dale DeBerry as he stands here today. Thank you.
All right, so I'm back. So just give me 1 minute at a time, because this is important. Is that, remember I talked earlier today, and I said the moment. So I want you to imagine this, Coach Rodney. Where Coach Rodney at? Rodney Williams, where you at? Oh yeah, you're gonna go to the restroom? I ain't gonna put it about there. All right, so listen, I want y'all imagine this moment. Just give me a second. Players, give me a second, please. Because this is important. This is so important. I want you to imagine this moment that you're a 9th grader coming into Fairmont Heights High School. You're smelling a brand new school. Brand new building. Gorgeous field. Coach Rodney, come here for a second. Brand new stadium. Imagine this. I'm a 10th grader. I'm a sophomore. Going to Fairmont. Brand new school. Gorgeous field. My family started to come and see me. Players are starting to come and see me. I'm starting to make my name. Hey, give me a second. This is for real. Players are starting to come and see me. I'm starting to put myself out there. I'm starting to see things. Imagine this. I'm 11th grader now. I'm playing football. Coaches are coming to watch me play. Players are coming to watch me play. Teams are coming to watch me play. Imagine this. I'm a senior at a gorgeous school. Great facility. But I am that senior that don't have a scoreboard. That is so unacceptable. I promise you this, Coach Rodney, as your alumni, as your football alumni, we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure Robert Payton Stadium has a scoreboard by next year. I promise you that. I cannot tell this kid they have, he's quarterback, 10 years from now, will probably be selected as a Hall of Fame player. But he won't even have a picture of his school behind him with a scoreboard. That's unacceptable that Fairmont Heights have a brand new school, a brand new football field, and don't have a scoreboard. I don't get it. Don't have a brand new school. That's like having a building and don't have no title. That's unacceptable. And I promise you, we will do whatever it takes to get you a scoreboard.
Hey, I'm going to start off the donation for the scoreboard right now with $100.
I promise you that. In closing, hey, this is a great event. I'm going to pass it off to the president.
All right, I want to say thank you to everyone who came out and made this possible tonight. I want to let you know that we've already started this is our next project, trying to get a scoreboard for the school. I have sent email communications to Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 9, Washington Post, WTOP, letting them know that we're historic African American high school in Prince George's County, and we don't have a scoreboard. We're the closest team to an NFL team. We're the closest high school program in FedEx Field. We don't have a scoreboard. I wrote to the Washington football team. charitable foundation. I'll keep you posted. If any of you all would like to stay in contact with what's happening with the Fairmont Heights Football Alumni Association, there were sign-in sheets. You're welcome to leave your email address. I have some business cards out there, but my email is fhfootballalumni@gmail.com. So it's fhfootballalumni@gmail.com. So this is the beginning of a tradition that we hope goes forever. Also, please be aware that all the photographs that were taken by Mario Williams will have posted either on Facebook or if we have your email, we'll try to email you the pictures. We're also going to have a video. We were filmed today, okay? So this video, hopefully your children and grandchildren will see it 25 years from now and know that you guys were the beginning of something great that's going to stand the test of time. So we're going to do everything we can to support the current program, support the current school, and make a difference in the community. Sounds like we want to try to do everything that our Coach Payton and all our other coaches, weight, skip, boom, pipe blow, and sharpless taught us to do. So we want to represent the program. Coaches, enjoy retirement. We may call you for advice though. But enjoy retirement. We want to take care of the program. And with that being said, in the spirit of Coach Payton, he allowed me to say the prayer. When I played varsity for 3 years in the 80s, he allowed me to say the prayer before the game, but he also allowed me to say the celebration after we won. So if you can repeat after me, this is how we're going to